As of this Monday, the Diddy trial is officially underway. Specifically, though, for this trial, he has been charged with racketeering conspiracy, trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. So I just wanted to say that up front because that is important to the story as to, again, what specifically he is on trial for. Now, to be clear, though, because racketeering, I was not entirely sure what that meant. I will give you guys the definition in case you two were like, racketeering, just a vague word, okay? Criminal acts, typically those involving extortion, that involve a scheme organized to extract illegal profits. Now, he could be sentenced for life on just these charges alone if he gets convicted. And this is not to mention all of the other lawsuits that he currently has out against him, accusing him of drugging, assaulting, and raping people. So all of that aside, we have to focus on this trial. Now, the jury is composed of 8 men and 4 women, all over the age of 30. The court apparently had a lot of trouble actually finding the right jurors due to concerns of impartiality. Obviously, because it's Diddy, everyone already knows who he is, so it was hard for people to disconnect. You basically get asked, okay, in jury pool and jury selection, can you be impartial to Sean Combs? I wonder how many people were like, nah, man, I'm a big fan. Like, that line of questioning must be so weird. Like, okay, this is involving famous people. You now know what the case is. And it's like, can you be fair? People are like, no. Half of these jurors, from what I've understood, did still say they do know Diddy, but that they're able to be fair. So somehow they convinced them. Some people said that they could and they weren't believed. And then these specific jurors were believed to still be able to be fair, even knowing Diddy, which I thought was interesting. NPR had also noted that when they were doing the jury selection, when they were talking to people about if they could be impartial, they specifically started mentioning several celebrities who may be relevant to the case. Celebrities such as Michael B. Jordan, Kanye West, Mike Myers, Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child, Young Miami, and Kid Cudi. I don't know why those names were mentioned among others, but they just wanted to say that to people to make sure they could still be impartial. So we're yet to find out why those names were mentioned and how they will be a part of this case. I'm more curious to know if we will get any other names mentioned at all, especially those who may have participated in his freak-offs. I'm not feeling too confident in that, given the fact that someone like Ghislaine Maxwell from the Epstein sex ring is sitting in prison for trafficking charges, but somehow we still don't have any of the Epstein names. So I'm not expecting much on that front, but I'm interested to see what happens nonetheless. Just was thinking about that again last night, about how there's a literal entire operation that was found about Epstein and Ghislaine, and no one's been arrested. She was facilitating this operation, which is more than just Epstein. Like, we know that. Epstein had a literal island, okay? He had a freaking ranch in New Mexico. Giant ranch, okay? The thing is massive. You don't just have that for one person. Anyways, this is not about Epstein, so I will get off my rant about Epstein and focus on the Diddy trial. The courtroom for the Diddy trial is technically open to the public, but there were no cameras allowed, so this will not become the next Amber Heard, Johnny Depp trial of the year. Given the filth being discussed in this, I'm glad, frankly. It doesn't need to be seen by all. And also to protect the victims here. Like, I'm glad that they're doing that. Some level of sanity here. Diddy has, of course, pleaded not guilty to all charges, and that is what he is claiming. And he even invited his family and all of his children to attend. He has 7 total children. I have a whole diagram right now of who his kids are, and I have them color-coded and highlighted. I was trying to piece together who to what woman to what, you know? So I did my research to try to figure out. He has 7 total children, one of which is adopted, but to 4 different women. And then 6 of those kids were in attendance at the trial. Even his 2 18-year-old twin daughters, which that really just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, why have them there? Because no one is arguing he's not a pervert, creep, abuser. That's like known. And then it's the trafficking, the racketeering that's being on trial. But your kids are going to hear all of that. Someone said, it really weirds me out that his children are in the courtroom listening to the vile and freaked out nonsense that he's into. I'm mostly thinking of his daughters. Yeah, I think many of us are. Another person said, having his kids there to see what evil their dad was involved with is completely selfish of Diddy. Kids and adolescents should never be subjected to what is coming out in court. He is an evil SOB for sure. Again, they are adults technically, but yeah, they shouldn't. I'm surprised that they're there. Again, given what's being discussed, it's disgusting. Another girl was calling him like a part of the dark triad, which apparently is like a psychological term for someone who is a certain level of evil. People think he's part of the dark triad, whatever that means. But she went on to say he doesn't care that his kids hear grotesque, perverted abuse stories when they should be in school or safe at home instead. They owe him loyalty and support, and I'd almost be willing to bet they feel obligated and pressured by him to be there. That's what I want to know. Did he ask them to be there? Does he want them there? Because that's where it just makes his sick, perverted brain even more sick and perverted. But another person said, are they not supposed to support their father? They fully believe he's innocent. So in that respect, I do get it. If your dad's being accused of something, like, you'd want to be there and support. For a moment, I tried to put myself in their shoes of like, would I attend if I can't put myself in their shoes because I am thankfully blessed with a father who is an incredible man. So it breaks my heart for these kids, but I cannot fathom trying to like go and support your father. But the problem is he is not innocent of other things that he's already settled lawsuits, on. Like it. So you're going to hear all that. All of the women, there's these pictures of multiple young girls. So it's his daughters and the one girl, I think she's in her early 20s. And then there's photos of him like giving them little heart hands and being like, hi girls, hi family. I cannot process his brain. I guess that's a good thing. I cannot fathom any of this. Also, does he have gray hair now? These art sketches are making him look old.
No hair dye in prison, I don't think.
That's true.
How old is he?
He's like 54, 55?
55.
55. Hopefully he'll be stuck in there and never see the light of day again. But we'll see about that. Unsurprisingly, though, within a few hours of testimony beginning, his daughters left the courtroom because it got exceptionally vulgar, especially with discussions of a male escort, and they left. Again, I don't know what he expected. Like I just keep going to his brain. Like I'm not faulting the girls. Why did he want them there? It's disheartening to learn more about the story because it just reinforces the sense of sickness and depravity in the world. And I'm just going to pause that thought and this sickness to tell you about something good, and that is Fatty 15. If you've ever wondered why you are feeling sluggish, you might be sleeping poorly, or aging faster than you'd like, the answer might be simpler than you think. That's where Fatty 15 comes in, because our cells need essential nutrients to stay healthy, and most of us are deficient in one critical one, C15. Fatty 15 is a science-backed, award-winning, pure, vegan-friendly C15 supplement with just one ingredient, and it has 3 times more cellular benefits than omega-3 or fish oil. Plus, it's free from flavors, allergens, and preservatives. C15 is the only ingredient in Fatty 15, 100% pure, and unlike fish oil supplements that oxidize quickly, Fatty 15 naturally resists breakdown, both in the bottle and in your body. Fatty 15 works by replenishing your cells with C15, which repairs cellular damage, boosts energy production, and activates your body's natural repair mechanisms for better sleep, mood, metabolism, and heart health. I recently started adding Fatty 15 to my supplement routine, and I'm so excited to use it and start feeling better because I was sluggish and all of those things listed above, but I'm starting to come out of that fog. So it's very, very exciting. Plus, Fatty 15 comes in this beautiful little reusable glass jar, and then you just get refills delivered to you quarterly so you don't keep getting new jars. It's perfect. So if you guys would like to give them a try, you can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/comments or using code comments at checkout. Now back to the trial. The majority of the first days of testimony have been centered around Cassie, his longtime girlfriend, who he met first as her music producer. Like, he was her music producer. She was a new talent. I think at 19 was the first time that they met. He was 17 years her senior. He offered her a 10-album record deal, which she signed, which is insane in the music industry. I don't even think most of my favorite famous artists even have 10 albums yet. Like, that's a lifetime deal, basically. Virtually unheard of. And so many people have been saying that in the music industry. They're like, I can't believe that.
Definitely a crazy power dynamic there.
Crazy power dynamic. By the way, those albums never were recorded, which is really, really heartbreaking. I think maybe she had an album, she had a couple songs, but most of her work never got to fruition. By age 21, 22, she started dating Diddy. And within a few months of them actually getting together, he got her involved in the freak-off parties, which essentially became her job over the next decade. Hence why she literally said, like, that's why, like, my music didn't get done. This became her job.
What was her job?
She was the star of the sex parties. Like, she was the star of the freak off. So she had to just have sex for days on end. And then they would, like, take breaks and she'd have to do it again. I mean, it sounded like a sex slave in a lot of ways to someone that she also loves. So she was doing it to, like, please him. It was horrible. It's just horrible. Somehow, despite everything that she has been through, Cassie is now married to a personal trainer with 2 kids and 1 on the way, and seems to be living a relatively normal life. She is not the plaintiff in this trial. She's just a witness. She settled her lawsuit against Diddy a day after filing it, and that lawsuit was accusing Combs of rape and abuse. She is currently 8.5 months pregnant while giving her testimony this week, which has been a disturbing testimony from the beginning. I'm not going to get into the details of what she's alleging. If you want to read about it, it's on the internet, but frankly, I would recommend not, because it's horrible. Moral of the story, Diddy is a sadistic cuckold of a man. A monster, in my opinion. As for the baby oil that everyone talked about when he first got arrested, it was in fact used, according to Cassie, for the freak-off parties because Diddy needed everyone to be shining at all times for him to watch and direct these parties. So he had blow-up pools full of oil that everyone would have to dip themselves in and be fully covered in oil like every 5 minutes. I'm not going to get any deeper. That enough, I was like, okay, proof that he's weird without me having to get more vulgar.
Do we know how many people are alleged to attend these parties?
That's where I'm hoping a bunch more information comes out. Right now, it's Cassie giving her direct testimony of how she was involved and how certain people that she had to interact with. Because again, I call him a cuck because he liked to watch. He didn't like to necessarily fully participate all the time. So it was his girlfriend with other men. I'm still trying to shake off some of the stuff that I read. And that's why I'm not going to give it to you guys. Some of my first questions were, how will the defense spin the baby oil evidence? Because if you remember from his raid on his property several months ago, they found 1,000 bottles of baby oil from his house. And his lawyers at the time tried to play that off as, well, he has a big house and buys in bulk.
I mean, there's a Costco right down the street. I think Americans buy in bulk, as we know.
There were other people that have since come forward with new lawsuits claiming that the baby oil was laced with drugs to essentially debilitate people, which is also another level of terrifying. Oh, sick man. But the focus of the trial so far, we're now day 3 as of today, has been the focus surrounding Cassie's testimony. It is sick and heartbreaking and disturbing on every level. But the question now is what will happen with this trial? As of now, there is still one of their key witnesses that is missing at the moment. They can't find her. And she's a key witness for the prosecution.
What do you mean she's missing?
Yeah, she's literally missing. They can't find her. The prosecution, the government cannot locate and contact their key witness.
Is this like a missing person situation or is this?
I don't know. On Sunday, they were saying she's missing. I don't know her name. She's just victim number 3. There's only so much info that has come out about it, but I haven't seen any updates that she's been found. Imagine that. A key Diddy witness, victim 3, has gone missing right at the beginning of his trial. I'm not the least bit surprised. It's terrifying, frankly. So hopefully she's found because apparently she's a major part of this case. And I'd also heard rumors of maybe they're going to try to delay the trial because, again, she's so important, but so far that hasn't happened. So guess we'll see what happens on that front. It looks like, though, from the defense's perspective, they're not going to try to avoid painting him as an abuser because it's simply on tape and that has been shown to the jury. But they're going to hone in on the trafficking charges because that is the focus of this case. And so far, there is clear evidence of, yes, abuse, perversion, but everyone is still waiting to hear exactly how he is involved in the trafficking, in racketeering, all of that. Many close to the trial are echoing the same sentiments that the prosecution needs to ramp up their line of attack against those things specifically. And here are just a couple accounts from people who've been following the case minute by minute.
Today was day 2 of Sean Diddy Cohn's criminal trial, and folks, I'm getting a little worried about the prosecutors and all of this because they haven't really made a strong enough argument regarding the charges he's currently faced with. So far, I haven't heard anything related to racketeering being made in that public courtroom. Haven't heard anything. In regards to trafficking, yes, it does look like he did pay workers to have sex with Cassie, but here's the key point. Were they transported across state lines or were they in the area? Well, I don't know because they haven't really addressed that as of yet.
It's surprising to me that in their opening statements, it wasn't a clearly laid out. That's why the second I heard of this, I was like, maybe they're waiting because they have a long time, but that just was surprising to me that it wasn't immediately, here's everything that we're going to tell you about, because it's typically how opening statements work. Even for the baby oil, they apparently had to do a sidebar. The judge ordered a sidebar for the baby oil commentary because it was so focused on the baby oil. And again, it comes back to, while that is fascinatingly creepy and horrifying, how does that actually play into the charges against Diddy? Here's another reporter who's been in the courtroom.
A lot of us are wondering, what does this have to do with anything? Are they just trying to corroborate the freak-offs when other witnesses come on the stand and talk about this baby oil and Astroglide? It's really really strange. And I'm just going to say it. I know that it's day 2. I understand it's day 2, but I'm wondering when we are going to hear more about his criminal enterprise, about the trafficking, the transportation across state lines, because right now, Cassie is giving really, really tragic testimony, and I feel awful for her. This is horrible. But it definitely is, it's seeming to me so far, it's day 2, it's just seeming like it is a lot of domestic violence, a lot of assaults. I'm just trying to figure out when we're going to start really getting into these charges.
Okay, now I kept hearing this. This is a trending theme right now. A bunch of reporters or people who are in the courtroom are asking that. What's going on? Why haven't they talked about the racketeering and the trafficking and all that conspiracy yet? Again, it is only day 2. This trial can go on, judge saying approximately 8 weeks. So there is plenty of time for all this evidence to come forward. I was starting to wonder, though, too, why haven't they talked about this yet? When are they going to start talking about it? What's the strategy here? So I decided to call my father, who is a judge, but he used to be a defense attorney and he was also a prosecutor. So he's seen all sides of this type of thing, and I wanted to get his perspective on why and when that kind of information might be coming forward. So let me give him a quick call so that you guys can learn from Judge Jeff. All right, Dad, let's see if you pick up.
Hello?
Hey, Dad.
How you doing, babe?
Hello, I'm good. Okay, now I have you on speakerphone so that I can ask you a question about this case.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so from a prosecutor's perspective, what's the strategy to not coming forward from the jump, even in opening statements with all of their plans for the trial?
A prosecutor needs to build their case, and it takes time to build a case. Sometimes you want to go ahead and start out strong. Other times you want to hold back and wait to see how the witnesses develop, because you may have a witness along the way you're not exactly sure how their testimony is going to come in. So you might want to wait and hold back until the testimony is in so you can argue it later on to the jury.
Okay, so just because a prosecutor won't necessarily come forward with all of their information and their plans up front doesn't mean that they don't have that information to present eventually, right?
Absolutely. The prosecution, a good prosecutor, is going to take their time to build the case, and they're going to wait as they have a game plan for how they want to try it. But at any time, they can make adjustments along the way so they properly feed the jury the information that they want as they build their case. A lot of times when you build a prosecution, it's kind of like making a sculpture, a clay sculpture. You want to get all the material, all the clay onto the table. So each piece of evidence, every fact that you get in is a piece of evidence then that lays on the table. And when it's all in, then you sculpt that into a work of art that you want to present to your jury, their closing argument.
Got it. So, right, the closing arguments is when that would really all come to fruition, not necessarily the opening statements. I feel like that's what all the reporters were saying. Like, we're concerned they haven't already said it. And then I was getting concerned, like, does that mean they don't have it? But I don't think that's the case at all, especially with this trial. Potentially, it's going to go for like 8 weeks or something.
A lot of time to do that. And you want to keep your powder dry on a lot of these kind of things. You would just hold back and let it come in step by step. The press is going to certainly want everything to come all in at once. That's not how a case is tried. It's not how any good prosecutor would do it. Especially in a federal prosecution like this, you've got some top-notch attorneys, I'm sure, that are making sure they bring this case in like it's supposed to.
Okay, well, that's very helpful. Yeah, I feel like the internet is quick to assume one thing, and I figured that there's more to the story. And so thank you for providing another perspective on that.
My pleasure. Anytime you need me, give a call.
All right, love you. Thank you.
Love you, man. See ya.
Bye. So that is Judge Jeff for you all. He always provides me with legal insight and help and understanding, and so I hope to bring him more to you guys so that you can hear him, because he is a witty man and has a lot of expertise in the area where I lack, which is I chose to go the reporting broadcast journalism route rather than law school. And it was up in the air for a while, but I chose this path and I'm glad to have him as well. For now, though, I will be tracking this story, and if there are any major updates, I will make sure to bring them your way. Thanks so much for watching today's episode. If you want more content like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video if you enjoyed it. And last but not least, if you want more content, you can also follow me on my personal pages as well as our new comment section Instagram. See you guys in the comments.